Recently I did some changes to my filtration system, and in the process saved myself a bit of electricity and made the system less complicated. Um, so previously I had an air pump. You can see this is the air pump that I took out. It's a 40-watt model, so it doesn't really use that much electricity, right? So it's only using 40 watts, but because I felt like it wasn't necessary to aerate the water. I thought it was better to use that electricity to move the water through the filter system, meaning through the media. So I've always had two pumps coming up into this area, which acted like a shower and a sump. I would have two lines going through, and the water would drop into the ceramic media, and then it would go down into the K1 media sump, right? And then the air pump would aerate it, and that's a moving media bed. But I felt like it was completely unnecessary. So what I did was, and I found out about this because of my oyster shell filters over there, where I had a pipe coming in and a T, and it was drawing in air. So I ended up using one of the pump lines, one of the outlet. Instead of going on the top, I plumbed it so that it went underneath the media. And if you can see right here, I teed it off, right? And I put an elbow on here above the water line, so that this is a venturi now. So this is drawing in air for free. Like, I'm not putting any extra power or electricity into this. And you can see the media is also boiling because of that. Now this pump right here is a Pariah. I know it's upside down, but it's a PB 1600, and it only used 60 watt. So 60 watt of power. I was able to pump in at least 3,500 gallons here, and the water is still going through my filter. Although before both of the pumps were going from the top and dropping down, now one goes from the top, the other one goes down underneath, almost like the bottom of the sump, right? And I drill out a couple of holes in there so that water pushes it up, so it's always moving the K1. But in addition, it's also drawing in air and also moving and aerating the bottom. So this was saving me electricity, and it was doing exactly what it was doing before. So this is a real benefit, and I think that in the future, if I was to rebuild my pond or do another pond, I would always incorporate this type of flow and venturi. It's just so much more efficient. And honestly, I've always advocated for moving water through the filter rather than using electricity and aerating the water. I just think it's just so much better. So that's a recent addition to my filter. This is the original filter, right? Has about 30 kilograms of Momotaro bacteria house, and about 14 cubic feet of K1 in here. So this whole filter right here was already sufficient for my pond. But I of course added some more because I want to have more fish. So that was the reason. Kind of put together like a little wooden cover. It looks really crafty, to be honest. I just needed to cover up. Didn't really spend a lot of time on it. The other thing I did was changing out my let me graph it in real quick. So just prior to last weekend, my RDF was putting out the waste into a barrel. It's like a 35-gallon blue barrel right here, and I would run that water through this brew filter. It's like a hop filter. It's 300 micron stainless steel filter, and it would hook onto the side of the barrel. And every day I would just take this out, and then it was collecting a lot of waste in here, right? As you can kind of see, the residue and all that. So every day I would take this out, and then I would dump it in my yard, kind of like fertilizer, just everywhere. And that was good. I mean, like, there was nothing wrong with that. But once again, it was a daily chore, and the barrel itself that was collecting water, I had a sump pump which I took out as well right here. So this was the sump pump, and it would drain into my yard whenever it was filled. But there were two issues with that. One was the water that was collecting here ended up being kind of stagnant for a day or two, right? And then mosquitoes or other pests would just get in, and it was kind of problematic. But the water that I ended up draining out in my yard also had an odor that I didn't like. And in the future, because I'm building a deck in that area, I want it to be a pleasant sitting experience. So I had to find a way to get rid of it. And so what I ended up doing was running the drain pipe, well, the outlet waste pipe, down here and along the yard and into a kind of like a septic tank for the koi. It was dug down about 3 feet using a 55-gallon barrel, and with this barrel I cut out the bottom and I just slipped it down there, and then I slide in a 4-inch pipe, which works really well actually, and it has a cover which if I needed to I can just cover it up. And for the most part, this will be the case where the majority of the time I'll be having it covered up like that. It doesn't have any smell, no mosquito gets in, it's good. And then over time the water just seeps down into the ground right there, right? So this has been running for almost a week now, and there's hardly any water that's collected. I mean, you see a little bit of water there because that's about 6 days worth of waste. But that's the very bottom of the barrel. So what I'll be doing is removing the solid waste again from here to use as fertilizer. But rather doing it daily, I've already ordered a much bigger brew filter, maybe about 13.5-inch diameter compared to this one, which is 6-inch, with the same height, which is 14-inch. So I'll be connecting it onto the drain pipe like this. I'll probably put a nail right here, and that thing has a handle, so I'll hook it up. It hasn't arrived yet, so I can't really demonstrate, but I'll hook it onto here, and then all the solid waste will go into that filter, and only the water will get down here, and it will drain a lot. Well, it will seep into the ground even easier, and obviously I think the trees around here will benefit from it. But yeah, this septic tank, it saves me energy and time. I don't have to do it every day now, and I can close it up. No more funky smell, no more crazy mosquitoes and all that, and just less maintenance. And I think that if somehow if it rains and it even overflows, it will probably just drain out into the yard, so not a major concern. Hopefully it works out better than the last setup. But it was rather simple. 55-gallon, inverted, cut the bottom out. Well, I didn't invert it, I just cut the bottom out and put it down. Make sure you save the lid and put it on top later on. There we go. Just like that. So you can kind of see this is the water coming down.